No one warns you that people don't usually lose feelings loudly. They lose them quietly, while you're still trying. You remember how it starts, the replies get slower but still polite. The laughs are still there but thinner. They say they're busy, tired, overwhelmed. Nothing dramatic happens, no fight, no breakup scene. Just a slow emotional disappearance while you're still emotionally present. And that's what messes with your head the most. Because if nothing went wrong, your brain keeps searching for what to fix. So you replay conversations, you blame timing. You tell yourself, maybe they're just stressed, but deep down you feel it. Something already ended without permission. Here's the uncomfortable truth. People don't lose feelings suddenly. They detach internally long before they detach externally. By the time you notice distance, they've already processed the ending in silence. Psychologically, this usually starts when emotional safety drops. Not because of one mistake, but because the dynamic shifts. One person starts investing more, caring more, adjusting more, while the other starts receiving more than they're giving. That imbalance matters because attraction isn't just about affection. It's about emotional polarity. When one person becomes the emotional anchor and the other becomes the emotional dependent, desire slowly suffocates. In avoidant attachment styles, this happens especially fast. Avoidants don't process discomfort by talking. They process it by withdrawing. They don't say, "I feel overwhelmed." They say nothing and pull back emotionally while acting normal on the surface. Your anxiety reads that silence as a problem to solve, so you lean in harder, you explain more. You try to be understanding, you chase clarity. But chasing clarity kills attraction because the moment someone feels emotionally chased, their nervous system shifts into escape mode. Not because you're wrong, but because desire requires freedom, not pressure. Another brutal truth: validation loops play a huge role here. When someone gets used to being desired without reciprocating at the same level, their dopamine response fades. What once felt exciting starts to feel expected. And what feels expected loses emotional charge. So they don't wake up one day and decide to leave. They wake up already detached. And instead of explaining it, they choose the easier path: silence, distance, emotional minimalism. Now here's where people lie to themselves. They say, if they cared, they would communicate. No. If they were emotionally mature and secure, they would communicate. Caring and communicating are not the same thing. Plenty of people care enough to stay polite, but not enough to stay honest. Because honesty requires discomfort, and silence avoids guilt. Let's talk about self-sabotage for a moment, because this part hurts. Sometimes people lose feelings because you slowly abandoned your own center. You made them the emotional reference point. Your mood depended on their replies, your peace depended on their attention. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. But it also shifts the power dynamic, and power imbalance quietly kills desire. From a gender psychology angle, this often plays out differently. Men are more likely to shut down emotionally when they feel inadequate, pressured, or unable to meet expectations. Instead of expressing confusion, they withdraw and distract themselves. Women, on the other hand, are more likely to emotionally process the ending internally first. They grieve while still in the relationship. By the time they detach, they've already accepted the loss privately. That's why it feels sudden to you. Because you're entering the grief stage at the same time they're entering relief. Here's the painful but freeing realization. Closure doesn't come from explanations, it comes from pattern recognition. If someone wanted to stay emotionally connected, they would create emotional safety, not distance. If someone wanted to fight for the bond, you wouldn't be the only one feeling confused. Silence is not ambiguity. Silence is an answer people give when they don't want responsibility for the truth. So, what do you do with this? Not advice like move on or focus on yourself. That's lazy. You regulate your nervous system instead of chasing reassurance. You stop trying to be understood by someone who already checked out. You rebuild boundaries where you were over. And most importantly, you stop romanticizing emotional absence. Distance is not mystery. Inconsistency is not depth. Confusion is not connection. Sometimes the reason they lost feelings quietly is because you stayed loud with your emotions while they stayed silent with theirs. And the hardest lesson is this: the ending that hurts the most is the one where no one admits it ended.